Raccoons are super relevant. I couldn't even say it seriously.
No, I do get it. And you
hey,
didn't mention
elementals are relevant. What are you talking about? That's an elemental.
Whoa.
Who cares that it's a raccoon? It is a relevant creature type, John. Hey, and welcome to the MTG Thoughtcast. I'm your host, Joseph Rubino, and across the screen, or across your ears, is my brother, John Kendall. John, we're talking some underrated green cards today, huh? What do you want to tell
I'm on top of the command tower, tapping it for green.
Yeah. Who's your green commander? Like, when you think green commander, who do you think of?
Like for myself personally, or just in general?
In general, what does green commander mean to you? First thing that pops up.
Big lands, baby.
Yeah. We'll be talking about all of that and plenty more in today's episode. But before we get into it, a couple of quick shout outs. Firstly and foremost, shout out to Heavy Play, sponsor of the show. If you want 10% off of your first order from Heavy Play, that's for curved sleeves, that's for deck boxes, that's for playmats. All of these are magnetic and modular and are awesome. If you want 10% off of your first order, you can use code MTG Thoughtcast at checkout or go to heavyplay.com/MTG Thoughtcast. Again, that is MTG Thoughtcast at checkout or heavyplay.com/MTG Thoughtcast. Secondly, if you want to join in all the discussion for today's episode, some underrated green cards, see all of our other series of those, you want to play some games with us, you can jump onto our Discord. It's linked down below. It's totally free. We'd love to have you there. We big meme Discord lately. So if you want to get in on all of that, it's right down there. And while you're there, if you want to support the channel, give us a quick thank you for the content and want to see more of this kind of content, hit us with the likes, the comments, and the subscribes. That's a big deal for the channel. We're about to hit 1,200 subscribers, John. I feel like we keep doing these
if we haven't already at this point. So if we already
are
there, thank you. So thank you for coming over here to hit us. Wait
a second. Sweet. Well, that's all of the promo that I have.
Step one is punch the like button. Step 2 is come punch me.
Yes. John, like I said in the intro, we're talking green cards today. This is our 5th episode in the color series, where we've just been going through and talking about some underrated picks for your commander decks of insert color here. And today's happens to be green. You feeling good about
the final mono color?
That's right.
We've made it. We're here through Wooburg. So before we dive into the combinations, the final of the 5 basic magic colors of the game. And were you about to ask me? It's like, what's my opinions on green, or like, what's your opinions on green
philosophy? Do you like playing it? Do you play a lot of it? Do you play a little of it? What's going on with green in your life?
Oh, baby. I'll tell you what, I don't think it's an understatement to say that green, it probably is one of the most powerful colors in Commander as a whole, right? Like,
if anything, it certainly is the best support color in Commander. Like, if you're playing a deck and you can add green to it, all of a sudden you're going to be faster, you're going to be stronger. It's great. But I also love mono green.
Yeah, mono green is very, very cool because, like, while it may have this like inclination behind it of just like, oh, green is just doing fast land stuff, and that definitely is. Don't get me wrong, green is your fast mana acceleration color and your big scary monsters. But that's just the thing. That just leads right into it. Like, you could play green as just, you are going extremely big on mana. You're playing the biggest Timmy dinosaurs, you know? I'm all, like, one of my favorites, my standout thing for green, just being the, like, big, dumb creature guy that I am. Like, I just can't get enough of Gigantosaurus, you know? Like, as an icon of, like,
or whatever it is.
Yep, it's green for a 10/10. And it's like, what a better poster child for green. This is not one of the cards I'm talking about. I'm giving this as an example. It's just like, you want to understand what green is about? Behold,
There it
my
is.
dinosaur.
Yeah. I mean, you say that. You say that it's a ramp color. You say that it's the big creature's color. But at the same time, it's also one of the main colors for graveyard decks. It's also one of the highest interaction level colors because you have access to destroying artifacts, destroying enchantments. You have fight spells. You have bite spells. You've got destroy creatures with flying. It's defensive because you've got reach. Like, green is unbelievably flexible. And that's why we say that it's one of the strongest colors when you're playing Commander, just because you have so much you can do. Again, our speed run of how soon can we say hashtag flexibility in an episode of the MTG Thoughtcast. But like, I think that's why you and I have a shared love of playing green, is because it is just genuinely so flexible.
Green is also the primary color for Enchantress stuff as well. So you're talking cards like Enchantress's Presence and all of those encompassing things that are in that realm of like playing Voltron or Shrines or general purpose enchantments just as a whole. Green is kind of one of the main focus colors of it.
Yeah. I think you're trying to say Varudin Enchantress.
Verdurian Enchantress. Yes, that was the
one.
one I was thinking of. Thank you.
Yes.
I was also thinking
green also gets like,
what's that Shroud one? I can never remember that Shroud one.
I don't
You don't know that one either?
So it is so out of my wheelhouse. But again, like, that's a whole section that green gets that I just don't choose to not access, but I still love playing green for all of its other bits. It's also a really strong life gain color. Like, tokens, go wide, Essence Warden. Like, what doesn't green do? Like,
green. That's actually a very good question. Like, what can't green do? I guess
exactly.
green can't counter spells. I guess
kind of, but it can like hexproof and shroud, like run. Anyway, we could ramble on and on and on about the things that green is unbelievably good at. And of course, you guys know the Sylvan libraries are good. You know the heroic interventions are good. That's not what this episode is about. I'm not trying to convince you to play green. I'm trying to convince you to play some of these absolutely underrated green cards in your commander decks. John, do you want to take us away with the first pick from your arsenal?
Yes, I am ready to go. So as I was just talking about, a green is a primary focus color for the Enchantressy builds. And you all know me. I love Enchantress. I love everything, though. I love every kind of deck specifically. But you all know me that I'm an Enchantress player. I love this stuff. And specifically for, this is a one that I use in my 5-color deck as well. But this one could also work really well just as if you're playing especially auras in specific. I have an aura we're going to be talking about. But this piece here is just kind of so unique, and it does a very cool thing. Enchanted, especially because we are playing this as commander, you'll have access to the availability to do this aura because we are playing this format. This is the aura from March of the Machine Aftermath, Leyline Immersion.
Oh, it's so good, dude.
Leyline Immersion. For 3 and a green, you get an aura. It enchants a legendary creature. The enchanted creature has Ward 2 and tap to add 5 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast spells.
Yeah, dude. That Ward 2 is underrated.
Yeah, it's, I mean, can you still get this aura blown up? Yes, obviously. And does this still die to like a Wrath or something like that? Yeah, absolutely. But like, man, talk about how many different kinds of commander decks are built in such a way that the legendary creature is not necessarily a legend that is looking to go into combat all the time. How many different types of decks are built in such a way that the commander, the thing that you have instant access to, is more of a cog in the gear of the synergy that you're trying to build within that deck. The example I'm pulling from this is the deck that I play this in, which is my Goshintai of Life's Origin deck. It's a 5-color Shrines. Goshintai itself, the commander one itself, not an incredibly good combat creature, honestly. And you could definitely build it to be combat, right? Because Goshintai is an enchantment. You could slap other like Voltron-y sort of enchantments onto it. But because mine is built in such a way that it's like he just wants to sit there and wants to see all your other shrines coming down into play, he's not going to be going to combat too terribly often. So something like this that can sit there and protect my commander and provide me an exponential amount of ramp for whatever color I need, because it taps to make any combo. This isn't one of those things that like taps and makes you Wooburg or like makes of one particular color like a Gilded Lotus or something like that. This, you can make whatever combo you need. So any amount of greedy mana pips that you want to play in your 5-color deck, me.
Yeah, you
um,
at John.
this is incredible. But yeah, I mean, just being able to use it for spells is obviously a limitation. You know, you can't do like combo breaking shenanigans with this, but like just turning like your 3-drop legendary, enchanting this onto it for 4, and immediately accelerating up to 5 mana on the spot if that creature is able to tap. Like, that's great.
Yeah,
I love this.
big fan. I also love that you immediately get 1 mana back from playing this. Like, it costs 4 and it makes 5, so it kind of is a ritual in that way.
It can be, yeah, like I said, if you're throwing it onto a legendary creature that already has the ability to tap.
Yes, exactly. So like if you do turn 3 and you play your 3-drop commander, and then turn 4 you put Leyline Immersion on it, you're actually just making a 5th mana there. So it functions as adding you a mana. It's very sick. And then obviously if you get to untap with this, which the Ward 2 helps with, and then you're just have 5 extra mana at that point on turn 5, you have 10 mana for spells. That's insane.
Does this make 6 mana if it's enchanted onto Kinnan?
It would. As long as
Sick.
Kinnan doesn't say other. This is a very niche case.
I don't.
Says whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. So yes.
Sick.
Granted, you wouldn't be able to use that mana for his ability because Leyline Immersion.
No, but you're playing dumb idiots in Kinnan
100%.
anyway. Guys, we did it. We broke Kinnan.
We did it. I picked up a copy of Leyline Immersion when I was working on the Preston Minuteman build from the Fallout set, which I didn't end up building, which was a bit of a bummer. But man, that in the Enchanted Permanence deck. But yeah, even you're talking like Enchant a Sithis with this, and you draw your card, you gain your life, and then
like,
you're not
Sithis isn't
attacking
gonna
with Sithis anyway.
Yeah, Sithis isn't going swinging.
Particularly good too with any commanders who have vigilance, to where you can like attack and also, tap with it. Big fan, John. Good pick.
Pass priority.
First one that I want to talk about, because I want to start on something exciting here. I've had to explain how this card works so many times, and it requires about 4 reads to really understand. And by that point, you're usually dead from it. This is Gruff Triplets.
Yes, sir.
This is slowly but surely become one of my favorite win conditions in green, especially in the Reanimator deck that I play it in. So Gruff Triplets is 3 green, green, green. So you have to be pretty hefty into green and be able to cast this. It's a 3/3 Satyr Warrior with Trample. And when it enters the battlefield, if it isn't a token, create 2 tokens that are copies of it. And then they will all have this, they all are copies of themselves. They all have this last ability, which is when Gruff Triplets dies. Yeah. When Gruff Triplets dies, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to its power on each creature you control named Gruff Triplets. So one of them dies and puts 3 counters onto each of the other ones, which now that means that the other 2 of them are 6/6s. And then when one of those 6/6s dies, the last one becomes a 12/12, and they naturally have Trample. So I actually won a game with this recently. Again, I play it in my Slimefoot and Squee Sacrifice Reanimator deck, where it's ridiculous because you play this, it makes the 2 copies, you sacrifice the original one, which is great because you want it to die anyway, sacrifice Slimefoot and Squee to whatever else, bring them both back, and then the original Gruff, or the one that comes back, makes 2 more copies of this, because this is just an ETB ability of the non-token one. So you make an arm. Oh my god, you make an army of these Gruff Triplets, and then as they die, either via combat or blocking, or in my case, like just sacrificing them to a Warren Soul Trader, as they die, it just populates all of its power onto all the other ones. So this gets out of hand so fast. I think when I played it last, I made the original 3 of them, the triplets. Sacrifice the one. Now they're 6/6s. Bring the original one back to make 3 more 3/3s. Sacrifice one of the 6/6s, which puts 6 counters on all of them. So now it's like a 12/12 and a bunch of 9. And you can see how insane this gets quickly from this one card that costs 23 cents. So
precisely.
Definitely, in my case,
All of that, by the way, is only taking into account whatever these were sitting at their overall base power plus the counters they had received from each other. This is not even taking into account anything that you have on your field that is doubling up its power and toughnesses, right? Imagine you're deep into this like heavy green pip deck here, and you've got like gruff triplets going into combat with an unnatural growth that's doubling its power.
Absolutely. We're getting into win more territory with it. What I'm saying is like
that's what green is here to do, baby. Right. Win more.
But like even without that, these will win the game. Like if you have any way to recur them, which again, like we said, green has regrowth effects, which is just returning cards from the graveyard. So even without any other support colors, this becomes an engine on its own just because it exists in the color green. But with support, like in my Jund Reanimator deck that wants to be sacrificing things anyway, this is the best card in the deck. And it is completely underrated. It was from Wilds of Eldraine, and I think people just overlooked it because it was like a big green bulk rare that has a novel of text on it. But man, play more of this. If you're looking to play some creatures, go wide. It's good in token decks. It's good in +1/+1 counters decks. Like, God, this with a doubling season down, John?
Oh, it's busted with a doubling season.
Yes, because it affects both the tokens and the +1/+1 counter side of it. Like, it's ridiculous.
That's a deck you can play in Standard right now, I believe. Wild of Eldraine is still in Standard, and Foundations had doubling season. So, like, you could make this gruff triplets doubling season deck in Standard if you really wanted to.
Yes.
Please don't, but you can.
Yeah, it's not going to go very far, but you could totally do it. All right, John, hit me with your next pick.
All right, so we're on the subject of big, dumb, idiot green creatures. I'd love to tell you about one of my favorite big, dumb, idiot green creatures. I would tell you what its power and toughness is, but it changes every time you cast it. And it all depends on what you have going on in your hand and what all your opponents have going on in their hands.
This Multani?
It is not Multani. This is one of my favorite fluctuating power and toughness creatures from the original Conspiracy, Realm Seekers.
Yeah, you play a ton of this.
Realm Seekers is 4 and double green for a 0/0 elf scout. It enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it, where X is the total number of cards in all players' hands. All of them. Your hand, your opponent's hand, all of them. Any number of cards that are there, this is coming in that big. And then an activated ability for 2 and a green and remove a 1/1 counter from Realm Seekers. Search your library for a land and reveal it. Put it into your hand and then shuffle after.
It's
stupid.
Very strong.
Big dumb utility. Like, obviously this doesn't have trample, so like it's not going to be like, you know, you'll chump block into this here. But the fact that if you are doing the big dumb green rampy thing and this can come down faster than the 6 mana that this is stationed at, like, we all know the power of some of these types of cards that are in, especially for multiplayer formats that are checking off of people's particular zones of the game, right? Like this one coming in, like we all know, everybody hears that phrase from Red of like, well, how many cards you got in hand? And you know they've got Jessica's Will.
Jessica's Will.
You know what I mean? One of my favorites for
Realm Seekers.
Realm Seekers, baby. How many cards you got in hand? Ooh, what a way to stick it to anybody who's like, especially doing blue, has been doing heavy card draw themes, or your heavy card draw, right? You're in something Simic or Bant or whatever, and you're the heavy card draw deck. What a way to just like slap this down after like, oh, I'm sitting here with my no max hand size. This gives you something to do with that no max hand size. Is like, I'm just gonna have this come in and be just the biggest 1/1 counters dump ever. And if you're in a situation where this is not able to start swinging in through combat damage, check out that wording there that says you get to remove a counter from it at instant speed. You can do this anytime you've got the mana to do it. Rip a counter off of it and go to your library for a land, any land, right? Non-basic, go get your command towers, go get your temples of false gods, go get your dark depths, go get your Nykthoses, go get your Gaia's cradles, you know, whatever.
I didn't realize that it said land card and not basic land card.
Land card, 2 hand, granted, right?
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? You're in green, you're playing Azusa, you get to play all these, you know, you get to dump them down into your hand.
I mean, you know where I play this, right?
Where's your copy?
This is in my Sylvala deck.
That makes sense.
So Vala Heart of the Wild, that's my Marrow Geyser deck that is exclusively Marrow and Sylvan Yeti and Sage of Ancient Lore that are all checking for hand size. And then you use like Greater Good and things like that to sacrifice creatures like this to just draw like 25 cards. Now all of the rest of your Marrows are significantly bigger and Savala's making a ton of mana. But that like, I missed that said land card because half of the strategy of that deck is finding your Reliquary Tower.
Yep.
So this can come down, go and find your Reliquary Tower.
Again, this is a little bit of a slower card, definitely, right? Like,
You're in
again,
green. Nothing slow in green.
Right. Just, I love cards like these that allow you to do something with your mana. If you aren't just in situations where just combat and casting spells is just not quite getting you there as far as finishing out a game, I love cards like these that just have mana sinks. They just let you do something either during your turn or doing the off turn. It just taking game actions is progress towards winning a game. And even if this one is just simply grabbing lands out of your deck, got everything else in green that cares about landfall, even if this sits here and just bees the silliest chump blocked 28/28 you ever have down in play, it's cool. I love it. I love this utility thing.
It's so good. It also like it does psychic damage to your opponents when you ask them how many cards they have in hand. It immediately puts them off.
Precisely. I love it.
I love that. Well, speaking of mana sinks and in combination with that, mana dorks, I'll take us to our next card to talk about, which is Bramble Familiar. This is one of my favorite little guys. He's 1 and a green for a 2/2 that taps to add a green. And you can pay 1 and a green, tap him, discard a card, return it to your hand. Now, John, why would you want to return it to your hand? Oh, because it has an adventure attached to it, which is 7 mana fetch quest to mill 7 cards, then put a creature, enchantment, or land card from among the milled cards onto the battlefield. So this is, like you were talking about with Realm Seekers, this is good late game when you've got a ton of mana and you're like, oh, I just need like a creature. Pay 7 mana, mill those 7 cards, you get whatever creature is in there. And like failsafe on that is an enchantment or a land. So you should hit something off of the fetch quest. And then, early game, it's a 2 mana dork that just taps to add a green. It's also an elemental raccoon. But specifically, the way that this engine can work if the game goes super late is you can just do the fetch quest. As we know with adventures, when you cast those, you then get to cast the other half of the card from exile. Mm-hmm. So then you put this guy in, and then the next turn, you can just bounce it back to your hand using its ability, fetch quest again. So this card creates a loop in and of itself because of that returning to hand ability. But it's also an unbelievable play on turn 2. Like, what more could you possibly want out of a card than something that's good on turn 2 and also good on turn 16?
Maybe be a relevant creature type.
Raccoons are super relevant. I couldn't even say it seriously.
No, I do get it. And
elementals are relevant. What are you talking about? That's an elemental.
Whoa.
Who cares that it's a raccoon? It is a relevant creature type, John.
Shout out to all of our raccoon enjoyers. Joseph's just disrespecting you. I see you out there.
You disrespected them. I'm standing up for the Bramble Familiar. Don't deflect this on me, John.
No, this one is very, very cool. I really did like this one when, again, this was another Wilds of Eldraine card that you're bringing up here. This one was a very interesting twist on the sort of like, it's an adventure and then a creature sort of thing. Cause like 90% of all the other ones that had adventures, they kind of really wanted you to do the adventure first and then get the creature later because like the adventure was cheaper and then the creature was more expensive. This one was a very interesting like twist on that. Be like, oh, you want to do the creature first and then he leads you to the adventure later.
Yeah. There's like a sort of subtle line of text in this as well that I take a ton of advantage of in my Tokasha Dig Site Mentor deck. That is this, the fetch quest just mills 7 cards. It's not like reveal, pick one and shuffle to the bottom. So like I said in the intro, like green is kind of overlooked as being the graveyard color, but it's really easy to mill yourself in green. I mean, Hermit Druid is green, but like this is just like in that deck, it just puts 7 cards in the graveyard and you get one of those for free. So really, really happy with that. It also counts as a creature card leaving the graveyard because you've milled those cards and then, done something. We've seen a lot more of that line of text coming up lately of when a X card leaves your graveyard, something happens. So this triggers that.
Precisely.
Lots of cool little subtext happening on Bramble Familiar.
But speaking of a bunch of subtext, let's go into a card that has some text on it. And some of it is subbed in parentheses.
Okay, John. Segue King.
I'm trying to make this work. So let's say you are playing in green and you've got yourself a commander that can come down relatively cheap. Let's say, who's the menace floating around right now? Bristly Bill? We love Bristly Bill. He's great. He comes down early. You're trying to get as much land ramp as fast as you possibly can. You are looking to get as many lands coming down into play as quickly as you can. I have a favorite ramp spell of mine that capitalizes, especially if you are playing a commander that is able to get in quick, fast, and easy.
Let's talk about it.
This little friend from the Assassin's Creed booster set, Viewpoint Synchronization. For 4 and a green, you get a sorcery that searches your library for up to 3 basic land cards and reveals them. You put 2 of them onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, and then you shuffle. However, it has an alternate casting cost of free running for 2 and a green. You can cast this spell for its free running cost if you have dealt combat damage to a player this turn with an assassin or commander.
I always forget about that line of an assassin or commander. But man, this is just like mega cultivate.
Right. So let's break this down here on what this card actually is, right? So 2 lands into play tapped and another into your hand. So it's like this blend of trying to do like explosive vegetation while also then giving you another one into your hand. There was also, I think there was like a Nissa card from Origins, I think that was like that as well, that like it did something like this with spell mastery, I want to say. It was like Nissa's Expedition or something to that degree.
Nissa's... It was not Nissa's Expedition. It was Nissa's Triumph.
Pilgrimage, I want to say. Yeah.
It was 3 mana for 2 basic forests, reveal them tapped, and put, you go 1 on the top, 1 in your hand. It's Cultivate. For basic forest. Spell Mastery was if there are 2 more instants or sorceries in your graveyard, search for up to 3 basic forests instead of 2 and put them into play. So yeah, similarly, where it's like later in the game or with some other condition gets 3 lands. But anyway, keep talking about Viewpoint Sync.
Yeah, and this one can grab any basic outside of just your forests as well, and like that card was. So like the way I look at a card like this here is if you were playing a commander in any capacity who does care about, like I've mentioned about Bristly Bill, but like think about any mono green or green X type of commander that could come down, let's say before, because like this card is a 5-drop. So let's say if you can have that commander down and ready to go to combat by turn 4, you are then getting mana efficiency on this by being able to cast that card, this Viewpoint Synchronization, by casting it for 3, which if you have not done your own land drop for the turn, by the way, that 3rd land that you choose to have go to your hand, you could still play that as your land for the turn. So, and then absolute floor is you can still just cast this card for 5. And honestly, that's pretty good. I mean, I'm still a purveyor of Explosive Vegetation and Friends. I like those kinds of cards. The spells that just guarantee give you that 2+ landfall triggers that like you pair them off with your land drop that you can do for the turn. That is huge for landfall decks, especially landfall decks who are trying to do the playing extra lands like capitalization on a budget, especially as well. Not every landfall deck person can afford to be playing every single fetch land.
Definitely.
Or the things that allow you to replay cards, like replay lands out of your graveyard, right? Like not everybody can afford Crucible of Worlds. So something like this that is just a cheap spell that can guarantee make sure that you can at multiple instances of landfall during a turn, or just especially get the color fixing that you need as well. We just mentioned about that previous card that just goes and grabs basic forests. This can go and get basic anything. So you playing a multicolor commander who, again, could come down potentially cheap. this can be cast for its 3 or its 5 mana cost, and this will help you go and fix up to those 3 other colors that you potentially don't even have quite yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not like you have to be playing this in a mono green deck, you know?
Mono green assassins. I'm in. I want to see somebody make that.
Oh, that's so strange, dude. That's so strange.
No, but just like I've had some silly plays with this of like getting Bristly Bill down on 2 and then get that third land after him. He's now a 3/3 at that point. No one
Yeah.
else has creatures quite yet. Hit somebody, and then this gets the fire off on its turn 3. Get 2 more lands directly down into play, and then it got the other one in hand ready to go to have the 6 ready to go for Realm Seekers the turn after, right?
There it is.
There it
all
is.
loops
We
back
tied
around
it.
the Realm Seekers.
We tied it back. No, honestly,
Yeah.
like, is this the most flattering, like, land fetching card there is? No, I don't think so. But especially if you're on a budget, if you want to try something spicy and like you just want to have access to be able to grab any type that you need of basic land for a multicolor deck of some kind, I would give this a try. Just, you would be surprised how often in multiplayer, if you've got an early access commander, that someone in that game is open by turn 3 or turn 4.
Oh yeah. Let me keep us on this extra lands track for a second and take you to one of my favorite cards to put into a mono green deck. Especially one that's looking for landfall. This is Gaia's Touch, I'm gonna read the card and then I'm gonna read the Oracle text because they're very different things. So it is a green for an enchantment that says the card is printed. You may put 1 additional land into play during each of your turns, but that land must be a basic forest. You may sacrifice Gaia's Touch to add 2 green mana to your mana pool. This ability is played as an interrupt. The Oracle text is an ability that costs 0 mana, so it's like 0 : you may put a basic forest card from your hand onto the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery and only once each turn, and then a second ability of sacrifice this enchantment to add green. So, man, this is like just exploration for an extra green mana for basic forests. So there's a lot of clauses, but in the decks that want it, like I play this in my Savala deck, you either do or should be playing this in your Bristly Bill deck. Stuff like that that's like mono green, landfall, mono green, I'm getting extra, want to play extra lands, or I have a lot of extra cards in hand to be playing all these extra basic forests. And then it's fail safe is that you play it on turn 2, and then on turn 3, you just sacrifice it for the 2 mana you invested into it, and you've got 5 mana available. So this is just like an absolute ramp engine on a single enchantment. Not to mention the fact that it's on an enchantment. So if you're playing any of these enchantress effects or anything, it adds 2 green pips to your mono green or to your green devotion. So there's a lot of different reasons outside of the obvious to be playing a card like this. It is obviously particularly good in a mono green deck, but even outside of that, I could see use cases for it.
I find there's an interesting little break as far as the abilities. Firstly, I didn't even consider that like the Oracle text had changed that upper part to be an activated ability. That's very interesting. It's like one of the few instances of like a land trigger that like could be responded to, I guess. Somebody could do some shenanigans up against that. So there's risk there, I suppose.
100%.
But I find it interesting. There's a split there that the playing additional basic forest is only sorcery speed and only once per turn, but the sacrificing it for double green is not. So like you could one of those instances of just like surprise somebody potentially off turn. Like obviously they'll see the card sitting on the battlefield, but like who's going to read that tiny font? No one's going to actually remember that this can sacrifice for double green off turn.
Again, its printing is a novel. It looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card for sure, but the reason why I think this flies under a lot of people's radars is just an availability thing. Like it's from the dark. That's the only time it's ever been printed. The Oracle text is on a digital only version of it that was on Magic Online. So it is so underrepresented as far as printings go. Like you've got exactly one choice for it. So yeah, I love it. I came across a couple in like an old collection that I bought off of somebody, which is cool because they're like $5 a piece, which is I still kind of count that in my like sort of budget. Again, in the decks that want it, the $5 is really worth it. If you just have copies of this lying around, there's cool places to use it.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, I hear you saying out there, we've done all this extra land ramping, and we've got our creatures, our big boy creatures like our Realm Seekers and our Gigantosauruses and whatever, and we've got our colors ready to go. We need something that closes out the game. You all know about Craterhoof Behemoth, and we're not talking about Craterhoof Behemoth because I'm not going to get into it. I think Hoof is an overrated card. But anyways, outside of that,
Spicy
takes in green.
But that's lore for later.
We've got access to lots of other types of hoof style finishers, right? And everyone also flocks to like the infect one. That one's pretty big. And honestly, even ones like Overwhelming Stampede are very popular and used in big token shells, whatever. My friends, let me tell you about one of my favorites that you could sneakily have this be one of the biggest power and toughness boosters outside of something like Hoof to your type of deck that someone may not even see coming because they may not even realize that this could be something that you are playing around. My favorite overrun effect is Tromp the Domains from the original Time Spiral. Tromp the Domains is 5 and a green for a sorcery with domain. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain trample and +1/+1 for each basic land type among lands you control.
That's dope.
So let's talk about the floor on a card like this here, because generally speaking, most people's most popular builds of commander decks is like 3-color decks. So we're talking like green, blue, and maybe red, playing something Temur or Bant or Jund. In that kind of instance, right? Though this is still on the same sort of like growth level as something like Overwhelming Stampede or the other variants of Overwhelming Stampede that they have done before, like granting like a +2, +3, and trample. That is big. The fact that this grants trample to your creatures. But we're playing in modern Magic now. We have technology. We have modern cards we're playing with. How many general purpose land fixing cards, like immediately ones off the dome, is stuff like Dryad of the Elysian Grove? How many?
You're going to talk about it.
How many land centric?
Everything to all basics.
Correct. Yep, exactly. So you don't even necessarily need to be playing max value domain to get that going. Another popular commander is the newer from last year, the Omo, Queen of Vesuva. She naturally also turns your lands into lands of all basic type as well. There's a variety. Yeah, there's a variety of different cards that Green X style decks would probably already be playing anyway to just give you one. All you need is just one land at least that has that multi-type onto it, or if you're playing a big multicolor style deck that you just need one basic of that type to have all of your creatures hit that max domain count that's on here. Because let's talk about when you can hit that max domain count. This is a +5/+5 and trample to your entire board.
Yes. I mean, there's also lands like Thran Portal, which you should be playing. We'll do a lands episode after this one, right? We decided we're taking
Correct.
Yes. So the next color series episode will be lands, and I'm sure I'll talk about Thran Portal a bit, but it's a land that as it enters, you choose a basic land type and it becomes that basic land type. So you can get off-colored basics in your like 3-color deck. This could be the 4th color that you need. Or if someone's playing like an Urborg across the table,
I was just about to say Urborg.
Yeah. And suddenly your Bant deck has swamps now. So that like counts towards it. It's almost punishment for that. Like pretty sick.
Are people playing around Overlord of the Hauntwoods? The token that he makes is an everywhere token. It is a land that is all basic types.
Yes.
I love that. So you can just get sneaky surprise domain value out of a card like this here. And for an incredibly budget finisher of, let me read that here, 9 cents.
Yeah.
That is
bulk bulk gets.
That is a 9-cent uncommon that will give you the equal amount of power finisher to Craterhoof. Quote me on that.
Okay, I'll quote you on that. It's cheaper as well. 6 mana is cheaper than 9 or whatever Craterhoof is.
Yep.
Big fan.
Yeah, I don't have much else other than that. It's just like it's my favorite. I love this card a lot. It's very silly.
It's so sick. I've never seen it before. I didn't know there was like a domain finisher like that. But domain also tends to go wide. Like there's a lot of like the Thunderherd migration, like things like that make a bunch of tokens, and you need a way to close out the game. The fact that it gives trample makes it a really good one to me. There's a lot of them like Endray's Forerunners that I don't like. Man, we could do a whole episode on overrun effects and how you don't need to be playing Craterhoof. If you have one, great. If you don't have one, you have these 9-cent options instead of it. Big fan. So yeah, I love that. I'm gonna take us on a quick sidebar into something we've not talked about yet, which is green's ability to gain card advantage. Which is underrated in and of itself. Again, you don't think of green as a card advantage color. I like to challenge that again by playing my Selvala Heart of the Wilds deck, which is quote unquote not that Selvala deck, but goes absolutely crazy because it wins with the Psychosis Crawler, because it's a card draw deck. Like the whole point of the deck is I want to touch 99 cards this game. So green actually has a lot of ways to do this. Not the least of which, one that I do recommend a lot, but I don't want to stick on for too long because its effect is 3 words. But people need to be playing Harmonize more. Guys, just play your Harmonizes. I put Harmonize into any green deck that doesn't have blue in it. So if it's got blue and wants card draw, of course, there's, rules are meant to be broken. It's just 4 mana to draw 3 cards as sorcery speed. That is so on rate. 4 mana to draw 3 is so good. It's like 1.25 mana per card, 1.3 mana per card. I would pay that in a blue deck to be getting that kind of card advantage, let alone in a green deck. It's also like, it's a sorcery in green. That's cool. There's aura points for playing Harmonize. If you play Harmonize against me, I'm like, man's aura farming. But
big ups if you're playing the Bloomborough one with the singing frogs. That one's great.
So good. They're harmonizing. So that is all I have to say about that. But my real pick for like green card advantage is a card that has just rumbled its way into my heart. This is Malevolent Rumble. This is from Modern Horizons 3, so relatively recent. It is 1 and a green for a sorcery. This is reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a permanent card from among them into your hand and put the rest into your graveyard. Create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token with sack this creature, add a colorless mana. I first kind of encountered this card at Nadu Winter Pro Tour, where the modern the Nadu decks were playing Malevolent Rumble, or at least the champion did. And he described it as Malevolent Rumble is just Ponder if you squint, which it totally is, because it does cost 2 for this sorcery. You get to look at 4 cards, and you're picking a permanent, so you don't get you kind of get interaction from it. You can get whatever is a permanent in it. So that's lands, artifacts, enchantments, creatures, all of these things. Planeswalkers.
Battles.
Sure. And the ponder comparison comes in because ponder costs a single mana to look at the top 3 cards and basically pick one of them, or shuffle and get a totally different one. Malevolent Rumble costs 2 mana, but it makes an Eldrazi spawn, which rebates you that mana either immediately or ramps you. This is a ramp piece, obviously like a ritual kind of style, single mana investment for another turn. But man, you just get like one of functionally the best of the top 4 of your library, and a creature that can sacrifice to add a colorless mana. I started putting this in my graveyard decks once again because it puts 3 cards. It puts 4 cards in the graveyard technically, including the sorcery itself, which is a ton. Really good for delirium decks where you're getting a sorcery.
That's a good delirium enabler.
So good.
Threshold as well, same thing.
Exactly. So you're getting all of those effects. And then I slowly just started putting this in basically every green deck that I play. Because again, name a time where you don't want to be ramping and also drawing the best of the top 4 of your library. Tell me a situation where you don't want to do that at any point in the game, and I will rebut you. But Yeah, I mean, it also like it makes a creature. That creature can block. It doesn't have to sacrifice for its thing. It doesn't require to tap to sacrifice it, so it's really good in my Tokasha deck. Not to keep harping on that, even though it's gotten some traction on the internet this week. So yeah, you can tap it to surveil in that deck and then sacrifice it to make the mana. Yeah, I've just really found that I've yet to encounter a green deck where this didn't generally matter at some point in the game. So I'm a big fan of Malevolent Rumble, and I think it's new enough still that it's not taken to a lot of decks. But yeah, just throw this in a green deck and have fun with it.
That's super cool. Yeah, it just the ability, because like what I love about the Eldrazi spawns is, well, yeah, that they only make the colorless mana, but that's like unrestricted colorless as well. You know, it's not limited to casting a colorless spell, or not limited to like casting artifacts like Power Stones are, or something like that. Yeah. Like you can just hold that little spawn there. He can sit there ready for you to go as soon as you need to like cast a real ramp spell or a real creature or something.
Study.
Yes, it does. You sack the spawn to learn this. Woo!
Yeah. I'm going to throw an Eldrazi at you.
Oh, man.
All right, what's your last pick here, John? Give me the hear me out pick.
But speaking of throwing creatures out at your opponents, John has to have one final hear me out pick. And oh boy, do I have a spicy one for you. One of green's really cool abilities that it has on some of its cards or some of its spells is this type of like, how would we call it, like combat interaction, referred to as like lure, where you have a particular creature that has to be blocked either specifically by a creature, or like everything your opponent's has to gang pile up on one specific thing. I'm not talking about Lure the card. This is sort of like the archetype of kind of like what this is.
I have a guess as to what you're talking about.
What do you think I'm talking about?
Is this Nacatl Warpride?
It is Nacatl Warpride, baby.
Yes.
This is one of my jankiest, funnest little pieces that I have. Again, this is also in my Bristly build deck. But man, the block of text that this thing is, and just another way to close out a game on this. Let's read this little friend here. And again, you kind of have to like tilt your head a little bit because this card has not had a traditional printing and a traditional frame yet. This thing has only ever been in the frame from Future Sight. We love the Future Sight frame, actually. We do. I'm a fan of it.
I
like the Future Sight frame. But Nacatl Warpride is 3 and triple green for a 3/3 cat warrior. Nacatl Warpride must be blocked by exactly one creature if able. And whenever the Warpride attacks, you create X tokens that are copies of it and that are tapped and attacking, where X is the number of creatures defending player controls. Exile the tokens at the beginning of the next end step. So
stupid, dude.
Now, so basically how that reads is you declare your attack at whoever you choose to, right? And the Nacatl Warpride sees however many creatures they have on their battlefield and looks down to itself and says, oh, you've got 10 sapperlings you're just hiding behind on your battlefield right there. I'm going to go ahead and put down in tapped and attacking 10 token copies of myself. Right? And so now, because they are token copies of themselves, they specifically have that wording at the very top of its text box ability that says it must be blocked by exactly one creature if able. So what that means is, if obviously let's talk about the floors and work our way up here, is that like if your opponent has a board, a really big board, but like those creatures are tapped or whatever, you will still create tapped and attacking token copies of this card equal to the number that they have. Just those extra token copies are just gonna go unblocked because their creatures are tapped. Now, if you swing this into a board where your opponent does have all their defenses up, hey, guess what? Every single one of those tokens that this Warpride creates, and not to mention you've got this extra one is here, by the way. You have the original plus a token for every creature that they control. The tokens have the line on them that it must be blocked by one creature if able. So that means anything else that you are swinging in with on your green board, your opponent's entire line of defense has to go with the cat tokens. everything else you have is going in unabated.
So strange, dude. This gets us into some weird conversations as well about how restrictions are followed in like it almost is into goad territory of like interesting and unique rules interactions where, like you said, I wouldn't read that as the subtext of it, but you're right. It is lore on this creature, except lore across all of the tokens that it makes. And like, have you even started talking about how many creatures this makes and then gets rid of for you in a turn if you have anything that cares about that?
Equal to however many your opponents have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like how many Essence Warden triggers is this? How many like Soul Sisters? Like there's so many different things that trigger on creatures entering the battlefield that this just goes bananas, while also, like you said, letting all of your other creatures swing in completely free.
How many green decks are playing the fun enchantment Elemental Bond that says when you have a creature with power 3 or greater enter under your control, draw a card?
This will draw you a billion cards.
Yeah. How about if you have something that's static boosting up their power and toughness, and you've got Garruk's Uprising that is also giving them now trample and then drawing you cards if they're coming in as 4 powers. And ready for this absolute jank that it's just like the salt part on this card right here that I actually, just to be perfectly honest, I was just double checking it right now and just reading this proper right now. Check out the wording that's on this here, that when it attacks, you make X tokens that are copies of it that are tapped and attacking. Does that say the defending player that you are attacking? It does not.
Wait. Hold on.
You get to make token copies of the War Pride equal to the number of creatures that the original is attacking, and then you get to change, if you want to, the attacks that the tokens are going at, if you want to.
John, that is insane.
Swing out at the person who has the biggest board and then kill the person who doesn't.
That's so stupid. This is ridiculous.
That's
oh my god,
mean.
I thought that I was gonna be really clever by like, oh, we can give this menace and then it's unblockable, but that's not true. Menace actually undoes the requirement of being blocked by one creature if able, because all of a sudden you're not able to block it with only one creature, so you can do whatever you want with it. However, if you give it something like Fear or Intimidate, where it like can't be blocked except by condition, it functionally becomes imblockable for all of these things. So this is going to take people out. Oh my god. I have an actually for you where you said that it's never been printed with a real frame that isn't Future Sight.
Salvat 2005. Yes, I know. It was white border.
2005, which was a reprint only set in the French, Spanish, and Italian markets.
In a magazine.
There is not an English non-Future Sight printing of this card, but there is.
Wizards, if you get this PSA at all about Nakata War Pride, give us a copy in regular frame, please.
Yes, for sure. I don't know if they'll reprint it though, because it's so strange. Like, it is weird the way that it works. So
I love it. What a way to catch people off guard with just the strangest. Oh, just outside of everything else we have talked about, by the way, cat. So you enjoy that, you Rin and Siri players.
Oh, think about how many like when another cat enters the battlefield triggers you have. When another, all of these things. That's like, again, this goes bananas with a doubling season out. Like, you just make 2 creatures for each one of theirs, and then all of a sudden all of the additional ones can't be blocked because you will have twice as many creatures as they do. So like, that is just the game. That is purely just game. Crazy card. I love this.
Thank you for coming to my John's Hear Me Out. Please take the wheel, Joseph.
I've heard you out, and I'm grateful for it. So my Hear Me Out is also a 6 mana card, but it's a sorcery, because like I love sorceries, man. There's something about a sorcery that just makes me so happy. So mine is Genesis Storm, and I'm playing off of a unique angle on Genesis Storm, where this was printed before partner commanders were around. So it didn't take that into account. So partners, anytime you cast either of your partner commanders, counts as casting your commander. Genesis Storm is a 6-mana sorcery that says when you cast this spell, copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. So it has Commander Storm onto it. And then the ability is reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land permanent card. You may put that card onto the battlefield, then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield on the bottom of your library in a random order. So like I said, this is particularly strong with partner commanders of any type, whether it's partners, friends forever, partners with, backgrounds. There's so many different options of like having 2 commanders in the command zone that it's been a long time since I've played a game of Commander where at least one person at the table didn't have 2 cards in the command zone. I'm particularly fond of any type of partner decks. Doctor's Companion, that's another one.
Yeah.
So Genesis Storm will copy itself twice, and you'll get 3 copies of it for 6 mana if you've cast both of your commanders, let alone if you have a commander that you've cast twice or 3 times or something. So like as the game goes later, Genesis Storm gets unbelievably good. I play this with great effect in my Slime Against Humanity deck, which is the sub theme of that is polymorph, where I'm just trying to hit non-land permanent. Well, I'm trying to hit, there's like 4 creatures in the deck that are really good. So I'd like to hit one of those. But again, just getting non-land permanents is really strong. You obviously can whiff really heavily on this and just hit like Elvish Mystic, Soul Ring, Fintorn Elves. But like even in the case where you do hit all of these like ramp permanents, you still buy back the mana that you paid for it. So I'm a huge fan of Genesis Storm. I also play it in my Wilson Refined Grizzly modular package.
The green half, or
I play
just
it in
the.
No, I play it in the main half. So this is one of the cards I want to see every game, no matter what other background is being paired with Wilson, because it's just so strong to get. Because again, I would like to play this, and I've rarely cast this in a world where it doesn't net me at least 3 copies of itself. So you get the main copy and then 2 additional Commander Storm copies from it, where I'm just getting 3 permanents onto the battlefield for 6 mana, and that to me is good enough. It's just your next 3 as well. So let's say you're playing any type of like brainstorm effects or anything like, again, like if you're playing mono green, you can play Brainstone. This is like they've given us these good like
Or Scroll Rack.
Scroll Rack, exactly. Put a card from your hand on top of your library and then cast Genesis Storm and just get it for free. So you can put your biggest creature down and guarantee that you're going to get it. But even like spinning the slot machine of the Genesis Storm is good enough and definitely fun enough for me to want to play. That is my Hear Me Out pick.
No, I like it. It's very, very cool. Yeah, especially capitalizing on the idea of like you could be playing multiple commanders and the copy of this is going to go off multiple instances as well. And obviously also as well, like it's making copies of itself. So if you care in any capacity about like Magecraft or like having an instant or sorcery resolve or something like that, or having permanents come in for free, or, any of those kinds of things that we care about.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, these are cards that have a lot of subtext to them depending on what your strategy is. And yeah, in the Slime deck and Slime Against Humanity, it skips past all of the Slime Against Humanity copies since they're all sorceries and just gets actual like permanents onto the board. But that's because that deck is kind of a polymorph deck. So depending on what you're playing, this kind of leans into different strategies, but they're all good. So that's my Hear Me Out.
So I think that brings us then to the end here of talking about green, and just like, I don't know if it was pretty obvious to tell, but like both of us really, really enjoy green color.
Indeed.
Right? I think it is the best color of Commander is concerned. There's argument for every color, obviously. Everybody has their favorite. Everything does very, very cool things, but just the flexibility, the versatility, and the keeping up like mana, like there's a reason that people latch to green as the big mana color. This is the color to play by itself, paired with any of your other colors that you want to for your commander to help you stay ahead of the curve on top of everybody else. And obviously every color can ramp with its artifacts and its rituals and whatever, but there's something just so iconic magic about going forest, Llanowar elves, go.
Absolutely. That's just one of my favorite plays in the game. Or like Forest Birds of Paradise. That's
Forest
such
Bop.
a great play.
Yep. Can't
Man,
you
it's so
can't argue it.
classic. That's been a great place since Alpha. Like, it's been around forever, and I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, I play probably too much green. I don't know if you spend much time looking in your trade binders and seeing which pages are the thinnest, but like green is really thin for me because I play so many of my green cards, whether they're good or not, just because I love being in green just as a whole. But yeah, that takes us to the end of not only the episode, but the mono colors of our underrated cards in Insert Color series, which has been a blast. I've really enjoyed doing this and kind of getting to dig through my decks and go like, what's cool that the people need to know about?
Precisely. Yep. So as we talked about, we're going to take a color hiatus just for a brief. We're going to go talk about some cool lands next time. I believe we were recommended to do this one from somebody a couple weeks back.
Comment on one of our previous ones talking about.
So we're going to next time we do an episode like this, we're going to cover into lands, and then we're going to get started into the 2-color sets, and that's going to be exciting.
Baby, talking some charms probably.
Oh, who's ready for Simic Day, boys? I'm in. Yeah.
Chase is ready.
Shout out Chase. Shout out our Discord that you can join at. Oh, did you see that? Join the link down below. You can come hang out, come talk to us about your favorite green cards. If you're not interested in hanging out with us there, share us down here on the comment section about your favorite green picks. Tell us about your green commander decks and what sort of like spicy things. I tell you this every single one of these episodes. So go down there and tell me about how I'm dead wrong about Nikado War Pride. Like, oh, it's trash. Ugh. If I'm paying I'm surprised you didn't bring up something about like, oh, if I'm paying 3 and double green, I'm playing Gruff triplets.
Totally different card. Totally different thing.
Totally different card. So we want to thank you all for watching and hanging out with us tonight, and be sure to also drop likes and subscribes for more content like this. Joseph, anything else we need to talk about here? I guess Blue Sky?
Yes,
right?
I'll do the Blue Sky bit. If you want to get in touch with us on Blue Sky, you can find our link here. That's our social media of choice. It is mtgthoughtcast.bluesky.social, or our individual pages, either John Thoughtcast or Joseph Thoughtcast. You can email me at mtgthoughtcast@gmail.com. And if you don't want to do any of those things, that's totally fine. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And we will see you so soon on the MTG Thoughtcast. Sayonara.